Hi, guys. Ciao. I'm recording this in Italy, which honestly feels so fitting for this episode because we are talking about sex and intimacy and femininity and being in your body. And so, me just coming from the sea and turning on the mic feels oddly appropriate. And, just to peel back the curtain, it's such a gift that I have the kind of career that I can do from anywhere and I can record from anywhere. But yeah, I've been schlepping podcast equipment all across the country and then the world. And I'm very grateful that I get to do all the things I want to do and find the time to do it. And so much of what we talk about here is really showing up exactly as you are. So here I am, showing up exactly as I am. I'm so excited for this episode. Michaela is truly phenomenal. She's a sexologist and intimacy coach. And, my first experience with Michaela was online, and I often don't resonate or connect with how other coaches and practitioners transmit their work out in the world. And there was something about the way that she talked about her work that inspired me, that motivated me, that was an expander for me. And then we met, and I started working with her. And it's been really transformational. And I'm going to be honest, this episode, I talk a lot about what it's been like working with her and my own dating experience and my sort of work in old stories and old patterns I had around my feelings about my own desirability and what I wanted in a relationship and what I thought about myself that just simply wasn't true. And so it's very vulnerable and honest on my end, and also feels really good to talk about it. And also even since we've recorded this episode, a lot has shifted. And guys, a lot has happened on this trip to Europe, let me say. I've gotten to see the work we've done put to practice in some really cool and beautiful ways. And I just think you're going to get a lot out of this. And, this is our first two-parter. We talked for almost 3 hours. So instead of cutting out so much good stuff, I figured I'd give you her wisdom in two parts. So you're going to get this episode, and then in 2 weeks, you'll get part 2. But stay tuned till the end because we talk about a very exciting event that Michaela and I are co-hosting in LA. So you'll want to stay tuned to hear all of that. And without further ado, here is Michaela D'Artois. I hope you guys love this episode as much as I do. Bye. Ciao. We're here with the remarkable Michaela D'Artois. You're a sexologist. You're an intimacy coach. Mm-hmm. You work with individuals and couples on how to have better sex, how to feel more connected to yourself, how to feel more in your body. Anything else you want to add to the work you do?
No, that's it. I mean, I think one misconception is that I only work with romantic connections, and I also work with platonic connections, familial connections. I'm just fascinated by the ways in which we connect with people and ourselves. But my background is in sexology, and I studied, with a focus on sexology.
Yeah. Well, and I'm so excited for us to have this conversation because I think that area specifically, when we think conceptually about a late bloomer or feeling behind, I think that's usually the place so many people go to in their brains. And I think it's an area for sure in my life where I felt behind, or I missed the class in high school that everyone else was at.
You didn't miss it. It was just so bad that it was unhelpful to all of us.
Yeah.
And it actually just set us back.
Yeah. Correct.
Yeah. You were there. It was just abhorrent.
It was just a non-existent class. Yeah. And admittedly, I think one of the things I'm excited to talk to you about is as we've gotten to know each other, I've been working with you and have gotten to see your work in practice and had my own real transformations about my relationship with myself and desire and eroticism and flirting, and I'm really
lots
excited.
Of flirting.
So much flirting.
I'm so proud of you, honestly, and we'll get into this, but you, first of all, A+ client.
Thank you so much.
But
Love
to
to be an
see,
info
I know,
student.
I'm like a little praise king. Should we start with a little
thank
praise
you.
king
Just a
on the
little praise
top?
king.
You're so good at this. To see the transformation has been so beautiful, and like I'm really, really proud.
Wow, thanks so much. I'm so like grateful and excited and have become such a like IRL influencer of your work, and I'm excited now to get to have this conversation here. But before we get into sort of the crux of your work and a conversation around sex, I think one of the things I'm so interested about you is like you had this entire other career. This is not necessarily a space that like has a lot of people to look to be like, oh, I want to go do that thing they're doing, or I can see it already being modeled. It's certainly maybe you didn't feel this way, but my hunch is that there's the stigma and ideas about it that make it like a less readily accessible thing to think is a place to put your professional intentions.
Yeah.
And I'm just so curious with you, like, how did that evolve? What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, it's so funny because I think a big thing that's been happening recently in the past, really, I would say in my 30s, like the end of my 20s into my 30s, I feel like I'm really, really coming full circle back to who I was as a young, like as a kid, as a little girl.
Yeah.
And it's also crazy because I look the most like I did then. Like when you look at pictures of my like late teens, early 20s, like you honestly wouldn't even recognize me, which is to my benefit. And it's like, really to my benefit.
I literally could
like
not relate.
when-
I could not relate more.
When people see photos, they're like, haha, that's not you. And I'm like, yeah, exactly right. It's not me. First of all, the heavy swept across bang, I don't know if you ever did that. Why?
My lack of a sense of identity just totally came through with my hair colors. So I was bleach blonde. I had a short red bob. I had
I had a short
black.
dark bob.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
We'll exchange photos.
We'll exchange photos. I honestly look in some of the photos with my dark bob. It was like my early 20s. I literally look like someone's stepmom. Like I look way older than, also because we were dressing in blazers and a pencil skirt to the club. So like I really do look like someone's stepmom.
Honestly, phenomenal.
But I feel like I was always really fascinated by how we connect as people and sort of like the human experience as it pertains to like our relationships with ourselves and others. I always wanted to write and be a writer in some capacity. I always knew that. But I feel like really early on, especially when I had my, hour of sex ed, I remember leaving the class and telling my best friend and being like, I think I want to be a cool sex ed teacher. And she was like,
wow.
Okay. She's like, weird. Sure. Like, like for her, it meant like she really did not have the same experience. And I was so, I don't know, like compelled by these subjects and how it was being talked about and how it was being taught. And then, I went into, fashion because I thought that was my way into writing. And so that was what my first career was in. I went to school for fashion journalism. I worked in magazines. I wrote for Refinery 29 and a few other, like it was like right at the digital age, like right as everything went digital.
So you're doing fashion, you're writing, you see this. It's always amazing to me, like we think we know the stepping stones we need to take to get to where we want to go. And usually the path never looks like what we think it's going to be. It's like such a beautiful reminder to me, at least, of like surrender. Like I relate so much of like, I'll do this thing because this will then be how I get to do the thing I actually want to do. And, God, the universe, whatever is so at work, like has like completely different plans.
Yeah. And as a Virgo, I was such a I was very methodical. Like I'm a super type B person, but even as a very young person, I was like plotting every step of how I was going to literally become the next Anna Wintour.
What did you think, like what would have being Anna Wintour have given you? Like what was that like 14-year-old like vision for like, if I'm this person in the world, then I'll get to.
I often say this about people that work in publishing and writers, like specifically that write shorter pieces, is that we're such like early adapters and sharers, and we love to like find people and things that are just like doing, like I am like such a cheerleader for people.
Yeah.
Like I might not even know you that well, and if I think something that you're doing is cool, I will like shout it from the, like I just think people doing cool things and like finding things that I think are interesting and like sharing them
100%.
with people. And so I think that was one of the things that I really early saw in Anna Wintour that I really respected. Was like she was someone who really could see like a diamond in the rough and pull them up and make them who they were. And then also really like a woman that was like building this path that was completely her own, and like that she just really carved for herself. This idea that you could really build a path. And it's funny, I was just home last weekend, and the topic of kids has been coming up a lot. I've been asked a lot recently if I'm going to have kids. And so I was having a family brunch, and everyone had already asked me if I was going to have kids.
Yeah.
And I was saying, it's so funny, I've never been more open to it. But as a young person and as a very, like a kid, I told my mom and my grandmother that I wasn't going to have kids, that I didn't want to have kids. And my mom was saying, in support of that, she was saying, yeah, she's just always been who she is. And she said one time we were in the car driving, and we were talking, we were talking about driving. I was like 5, I'm in the back seat. And I go, I'm never going to learn how to drive. I'm going to have a driver. Flash forward 30 years later, I don't know how to drive.
Wait, stop.
Uber exists. Like, I just think I was so like, I was like, I don't need to go against, I don't need to go with the grain. Like, I can make things on my own. I can kind of like make shit up if I want to, which really has, that has sort of been a theme throughout every period of my life, because then pretty early when I was working in editorial, I went totally freelance and harnessed all of the skills that I had learned, and I started doing brand consulting. So, and then that turned into social media consulting, and like I sort of parlayed those skills into that.
I relate very deeply to this idea of like, these are the ways in which I want to be able to be in the world. I see being able to do it if I do this thing. So I'll just attach myself to doing that thing. Like, I think
Yeah. And also because we also go with what's modeled to us for the most part, right?
Exactly. And I did not have that sense of self that you had. I think that's something I have gained later in my life. And often have grief around not having that younger. But I think the things that I have always been good at and also loved to model and see was I loved talking to other human beings about being human. I could really connect to like the human experience. I could express it in a very specific way.
Yeah.
So I did theater.
Yeah.
It never occurred to me that I could do that as my own.
As yourself.
Self.
Yeah. I mean, because like, how would you really think, like how would you even
It was not modeled to me in
that?
any way. And I relate to that thing you're saying of like becoming more like yourself. Like, I can see now all the things I'm doing is actually honoring my most innate gifts.
Yes.
But I say all that to say, like, what was that moment in your life where you were like, here are the things I want to do. Here's what I care about. Here's what interests me. Maybe actually it's not in this backyard. Like, it might actually look like something else.
Yeah. First of all, I want to say that to your point of this idea of like, you're kind of trying things out, trial and error, because you're seeing what fits based on the information that you have, right?
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I always identified as someone who had like so many interests, and it was hard for me to harness in on one thing, and I was always kind of like doing so many things at once, and I was kind of hard on myself about that. Like, I was like, why can't I just sort of like settle and pick a lane and like decidedly do what I want to do? And it's so crazy because then when I pivoted into what I'm doing now, every single one of the weird jobs that I had, or the weird projects I took on, or my little hobbies, or whatever they were, like truly all came together in harmony to support me doing this work.
Say more about that.
So like, I'll give a few examples. So like when the interviewing, right? Like when I worked at magazines, that was one of my favorite things to do. And I got to interview a ton of incredible people in fashion. I got to go, behind the scenes at Fashion Week and interview people like Bobbi Brown and, just like Simon Doonan from Barney's and like incredible people in the industry. And that was my favorite thing to do. Like I would get like a high from interviewing people and I just loved it so much. And again, it's like that human element and like hearing their stories and like letting them speak for themselves and all of these things. And so, you know, that came into the element of like being personable and like being able to listen and, you know, as an interviewer, like really listening. And then in late college, just out of college, I worked in PR. And it was like, you know, I wrote a lot of our press releases and I learned so much about, you know, the PR of running anything and the importance of PR. And so when I was, you know, leaving my sexology program 10 years later or whatever it was, I had this innate understanding that I could harness these stories and, you know, help me launch this practice. Cool. And then all of the social media stuff that I had learned from running all of these accounts, I kind of knew how to help myself build this presence, you know, this idea of like organic and free marketing. Yeah. I have paid very little for ads, if any, right? Because I just had this sense that you know, that I could get as far as I could organically in this way and how I could build that online presence. So I do feel like there's just been like so many things that have helped me succeed in this way where I don't know if you felt this after your coaching program, but like mine had some business teachings baked into it, which I thought was really important. Yeah. But a lot of these people are coming to it as their like second, third careers, maybe they're Gen X, you know, like they don't have this like distinct understanding of how to build the business in this day and age. So I just felt really, really equipped to like, because look, as you know, all I want to do is see clients every single day. That's all I care about. Yep. But that is not all the business is.
It's not all the work is. And I think this is where people get so tripped up. And frankly, I mean, one of the things that like when we first started talking, I was like, I love like, and I've said this on other podcasts with the few coaches I have on, it's like, I love how you show up in the world because I do struggle with some of the ways, you know, I use the term enrolling and that's some, you know, sort of like some of what I used in my own training. But I think some of the ways that some coaches work to enroll people doesn't really work for me.
Yeah, me either.
And I think that the visibility part of this work, the visibility part of being like, of claiming, this is what I do, this is what I have to offer. We talk about it in coaching. I think this is about anything in life.
Yeah, it's like, you know, how can you step in and take ownership?
Yeah, here's how I see it. Here's what I have to offer. This is not how I think is the right way to talk about the work, but here's honestly for me what I do and how I approach it. And I'm willing to share that with you. Yeah. And I'm willing to say that out loud. And I'm, you know, I don't need to like spell out that to me, this is a modeling of coaching, doing this, right? All of it is because what I coach people in is also around like self-expression and perfectionism and showing up and being consistent and diligent. But my background as a strategist for years, I think is what informed me well in how to start thinking about my work. Yeah. And I think the gift and the thing I am admittedly working on is that everyone I was a strategist for or an advisor for, I was bought into their inherent value. I was bought into them being these extremely talented people in the world that would probably get a yes. So possibility was available to us. So then what do we want to create? What do we want to do? Yeah. And having to look at where, okay, well, if I was strategizing for myself, my business.
Which is really hard to do.
Really hard.
I'm
you have
so
to
much
believe
better.
in the
Like
inherent
I have
value.
ideas. The amount of time, I feel like the amount of times I've been like, write about this.
Oh.
Write about this. I can't do that for myself.
No, never.
It's like I can see it so clearly for others. And then I have a block when it comes to like strategizing or stepping in for myself.
Yeah. For me, I think that block really is like I'm now doing a lot. It's like, oh, I can strategize if I'm bought into your inherent value, I see all the possibilities. So I'm like, oh, I got to go do some work over here around being like more bought into my own inherent value.
Yeah.
Because that's probably the thing keeping me from.
That's definitely Yeah, I really like how you said that because
Yeah.
it's true. It's like it's so natural that it's hard for us to see ourselves objectively like that
Yeah.
because we're in it with all of our imperfections and our imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. Yeah.
You know, it's like we're so in the
Yeah.
weeds with that stuff that like it's easy for us to look at our friend and be like, you should start a YouTube channel. But like for us, it's like you're like, no, you shouldn't.
You're
because
like,
these are all the
ew.
reasons why you shouldn't. And yet for your friend, you would never say that. You would never be like, don't start it because of this.
No. So what's your experience been like building this business? Maybe even back to the decision of being like, I'm going to do
I know
this.
I got us off topic.
No, it's fine. That's not your job here.
That's my brain.
I can. Here's the gift of having like I'm fully undiagnosed ADHD.
Just two ADHD girlies going head to head with microphones.
But I will.
You
keep
can
the
loop
thread.
us back.
I'll loop us back. Don't
see?
You don't have to
Sometimes
worry
I
about
can,
it.
and other times I really
No,
can't.
no. The gift of being on someone else's podcast is like that's really
the
not
amount
your
of
job.
times that I'll be talking and then I'll be like, why was I telling you this really niche specific story
all the time?
And
I'm
then
like, why
everyone's
the
like,
fuck-
we don't
know. I'm like, why am I on a tangent?
The process, and you're like, huh?
But yeah, like
Yes.
to that point of sort of like that experience of maybe your own value or any imposter syndrome, or maybe we don't even need to add that to the space at all. But that experience of claiming this is what you wanted to do, then building this business, then marketing it, doing that part of the work that I think is also so hard for so many people and would probably be of service to share about because you do it to, in my humble opinion, very well.
Yeah, thank you. I really appreciate that. That means a lot because, as you know, often when you're creating content or you're just sharing things in this way, it can be really vulnerable, but it can also feel like you're just like screaming into the void.
That's the most vulnerable
like you're like,
thing in the world.
wow. You're like, I hope this is helping. But I do think that back to the pivot, I think, I was feeling, I want us to talk about this thing because I think, or this point in my life, because I do think it's really helpful to others, but I was feeling really disillusioned with what I was doing, specifically with social media.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm someone who it's really hard for me to do things that I don't care about. And I don't mean that in like a bratty way, but it's just like I really have to find the value and purpose in something to put my all into it. And then once I do, I go hard and I work so hard for it. But I think I was working on all of these brands and all of these, social media accounts that I just really, it was sort of like also like peak consumerism pre-COVID. It just was like, I felt like I was just like really putting a lot of noise out there through these businesses that I was working on. And I got early COVID, I got kind of like obsessed with the idea of purpose and like, is that even a real thing? Is that like a product of, late capitalism is becoming obsessed with finding a purpose or needing to find purpose in our work. And I found this Japanese model called Ikigai, which is Ikigai. And it's like this Venn diagram of what you are naturally good at, what people come to you for, and what you can make money at, I think. And so I sort of was working on this model, and like that really brought me to this thing that I wanted to do. And actually, even before that, I knew that I wanted to work in the space, but I didn't know if that was as a therapist. I didn't know if that was as a sex educator. Like I really didn't know what that looked like. And I was looking at all of this stuff, and I just sort of like honed in that like, oh, I could probably do this. And then again, like my brain is pretty methodical. So then from there, I made like this entire list of like what all the options were and like how viable they were and like how much effort each one would take and like, what was the investment, like all of this stuff. And I knew that there was sexologists and I had followed a few over the years, but I didn't even like, I had done all this research of what that looked like. Was it a master's degree, all this stuff. And so I found a program. The founder was based in Los Angeles. She's sort of the mother of sex coaching. And so I was able to sort of be mentored by her through this process. She used to run a PhD program with her late husband. Anyway, so I found this program and it really fit all of the things on my list. But for me to jump into such an unknown pivot that was my sense of control.
Yeah.
Is being like, okay, I've done my due diligence. I have a spreadsheet with all of the things that I want and need out of a program or out of where I'm going. And like, there was a lot of times that you're walking sort of through the dark woods, waiting to see the light at the end of the tunnel and be like, is this viable?
Yeah.
And I kind of just went into it with this like inner sense and knowing that I could figure it out or find my way out on the other end. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
Okay. I'm like,
she's
wait.
like, is that right? I'm like, I don't know.
wait.
It sounds like it was your experience.
No, yeah. Because I think we don't talk enough about pivots in that way.
Yeah.
And we don't talk enough about like the relief on the other side of the pivot. I don't know if you feel this way.
I do so much. I think that, it's funny. Literally the inception of the idea for this podcast was that I was like, I think I want to do this thing. And then I was like, it's too late to do that thing. I was like, it's way too, I missed that boat. And then I was like, oh, that's the thing that keeps so many of us from so many things. And I remember like so much around my career pivot. There was a lot of things about it that were hard, of course. I had to grieve. I was making a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I had to be willing to walk away from that and build something new. I had to let go of all the positive reinforcement I got from the world because I was doing stuff that sounded and looked really cool. And go into a profession that a lot of people have opinions and judgments. And I mean, you want to see people in the world roll their eyes at you, say you're a coach, like, and I've talked about this a little bit on the podcast. There were, of course, a lot of things that were hard. And actually what we don't talk about enough is the gift, the freedom that exists on the other side, the relief. Like, first off, you're not actually starting over. You're carrying everything. You've ever learned, everything. Relationship, every skill set.
And there's no way I could have done it earlier than the minute I did it.
Couldn't have done it a minute earlier. Every version of it since, like from the time I did my initial certification to taking on my first clients, to taking some time off, to now how I'm choosing to show up and build my business more earnestly, to building my methodology. Like none of it could have happened a moment sooner. And it is so fun to work and build at something when it is actually like, I'm like, oh, this is the thing and it's funny you talk about purpose, which I love because I think that can be such a trap too for so many of us.
I want to say, because I do think you're right. It can be a trap. And I want to say, I don't think that we need to have a purpose. Like, I don't think that to have a viable, interesting, or fulfilling life, you have to commodify your purpose. I really do not believe that. I don't think that everyone has to like have and find a purpose. I think for me at that stage in my life, I had to redesign something that felt more aligned for me. And that was the language I was using.
Correct.
But also there have been many times in my personal history that I have tried to commodify a hobby, or not even tried to, like successfully commodified a hobby, or, made, like I used to sell art that I would make.
Yeah.
Kind of like pre-COVID. And it like blew up and I hated it.
Yeah.
And it was because it like totally changed how I approached my art practice and my creative practice. And so, I have really learned that like, I don't think that you have to, this idea that like, do what you love and you never work a day in your life. I think that's so sticky and thorny. It's like, it's not true, but also I think we can find things that we love in what we do, and that can be enough.
Well, and I think the point of what you're saying of like what is in alignment with you is so critical because we are all different.
Yes.
I think for me to be in alignment, yes, it has a lot to do with being in relationship with other people and expression. And like there is not some sense of purpose to my work.
Yeah.
I feel very much called by purpose.
Yeah.
I also was just talking with someone, a client who like has gotten really clear that like what they love is like to be in a like they love to work with other people and for someone else's vision and execute
Yeah.
in a real and have the stability financially. Like that is actually alignment for them.
Yes. And that
Even
comes
though
back to the idea of values, right? It's like, and this also loops into relationships, and
yeah.
we'll talk about it. But I fully agree. It's like we all get to design what we want our life, our career, our relationship to look like based on what is important to us and our values.
Correct. And like this is the thing I think about being in I talk about self-acceptance so much here, and I think this is a really good maybe segue into starting to talk about this work, because I love how much this pertains to, I know, the work that you do. But I don't think when I talk about self-acceptance, it's not like, oh, what is the best way for me to do the thing? It's actually if I really just honor what's true for me. For some people, if it just requires like being yourself in the world
And
might mean
giving yourself
honoring
permission.
having stability.
Yes.
Provides me a sense of that actually allows me to be more free in my life.
Yeah.
Great.
That's incredible.
For
And like,
some people, stability is stifling. Like it doesn't, there's no right or wrong.
No.
It is like,
and also we
knowing
can explore them. Like, and I prompt people to explore them. Like there have been times in my career, I mean, really just twice, but there have been times that I've gone in-house and tried on what it would feel like to have a 9-to-5 structure, to be sitting at an office desk. Turns out, who knew? I'm a huge distraction to myself and others. Not for me. No one is getting work done.
Yeah.
We are talking about our relationships.
Because
you were catching me up
on, that person.
on your weekend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
I am the personality hire.
The only time I worked in-house somewhere basically ever that was successful, I was the worst assistant in the world.
Oh, I've also been the worst assistant in the world.
Worst assistant in the world.
I think everyone should go and be the worst assistant in the world once. It teaches you so much.
Teaches me so much. But the one time that I was really, really successful when I was in-house at a nonprofit, my entire job was navigating relationships. I was the donor relations.
See?
My job was to make
This is
people
what I mean.
feel seen.
Every little nitty-gritty, weird talent, skill, job, role that you played comes to like into the light and builds to be this thing that you wanted to do. Yeah. Also, are those church bells?
Those are church bells.
This has just been so lovely. I wish this was more of an ASMR situation because there's been birds chirping. There's church bells.
It really?
There's wildflowers blowing in the wind outside. I just am like, where are we?
I know. It is.
So
isn't
peaceful.
It wild that like you walk around the corner and you're on Sunset Boulevard, but like it's so quiet.
Crazy.
I know. I feel really.
I thought that was someone's alarm going off.
No, it's the church. It's the
so
fucking
beautiful.
church bells. I know.
I love that.
What a nice little like ping from the universe, a reminder to like just stay in our bodies and okay, so this is maybe a really good segue into the work. I mean, we
church bells.
Church bells.
The Lord has shepherded us to
what is more divine than sex?
Amen. Amen.
There we go. Clip it. I like don't even know where I want to start. And I think we can enter it from so many different places. Mm-hmm. But you talked just a minute ago, you said like, yeah, it's about permission. And I think that so much of what I have gotten, we can sort of use me as an avatar from our work together has really been like this idea of like, I think I went in and I happy to share very honestly about my experience, but I also say it in service of I think like I'm very much not alone in any of these feelings of like really coming in feeling like this is an area where I don't know myself, or I didn't learn what I was supposed to learn, or I haven't figured out how to do it well, or I'm behind. Yeah. I think as a woman, like feeling like I've missed the peak of my,
isn't that so funny?
Which is,
first of all, it's not true.
It's absolutely not true.
I would go as far to say that if you're doing it right, the worst sex of your life is in your 20s.
I agree.
Like truly, you've never known. I always say this and I really believe it. It's like when people come to me and they're like, I feel like I'm a late bloomer in this area. I'm like, you have never known more about yourself, more about how the world works, more about your own body than you have at this point, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of how old you are.
Yeah.
So like that only gives you the gift of like further leaning in and learning and like immersing yourself in yourself in these experiences.
But I think the way you frame that is so expansive and so inspiring, and that like we know ourselves more in these other ways will now allow us to show up differently here. And I think so often the context we hold as women is like, oh, but I know myself in all these areas except this one. It's so limiting. And it's so like, I felt this just a sense of like, yeah, like the class I missed in high school over and over again. My experience so much that like we've talked about was always really feeling like the best friend.
Yeah.
You know? And really coming in with all these preconceived stories about myself of like, I go in and I see a guy I like and I assume he's not going to like me because I have these stories about my own desirability, which then limits my ability to actually desire what I want.
Yeah.
And we've done so much work in that space, which we can talk about. But I'm curious in general, like, what is your feeling? Because it could be that story or it could be a different one.
Yeah. I mean, we all have these storylines of who we are in the world and what that means about us, because it helps us categorize ourselves and everyone else, right?
Yeah.
So if we are the Catherine Hahn, that's you. That was you.
Yes. I mean, and honestly, hottest woman in the world.
And then I was going to say, you were really identifying as this Catherine Hahn
in How to Lose a Guy in
10 Days. And like, look at Catherine Hahn now. You would never put her in that role. Now,
may I be Catherine Hahn in my 40s?
Exactly. May we all be Catherine Hahn in our 40s. So it's like, I think it's all how the filter through which we, and like the lens through which we are looking at these people and these things and everything around us, right? And I think that we have these storylines because they really keep us safe when we feel like we can categorize ourselves. So like if we are the best friend and no one's really looking at us because we're just like, you know, second fiddle to the Kate Hudsons, right? Then that keeps us safe because we are often being overlooked or we are going, you know, without being perceived to some degree.
Yeah.
And if we already think that about ourselves or know that about ourselves, then we can step in line with what that role asks of us, right?
Yeah.
And so like, you know, all of us in many areas of our life, right? But definitely in relationships when it comes to sex, we all got information at an early age about what it meant about us to be in our bodies, to express ourselves, to have feelings, to be sexual beings, to be erotic beings, to be sensual beings, right? And often it was mirrored back at us, especially as women, as to why it was not safe to do so.
Yeah.
Right? So like to overtly express yourself could be dangerous, or to, you know, if you were an early bloomer, you know, like if you, like I hit puberty.
Me too.
Not even early, but hard. When I hit it, like things were happening.
I look at photos of me in like the 5th grade when I thought I was chubby, and I'm like, I am just tits on a stick.
Yeah,
it's
you're
not
just
that
like
I'm chubby.
You're like,
I just
that's
don't
just
look
tits.
like a girl.
Yeah, that's the other
like
thing, and I say this a lot. Like I was a woman.
I'm like, I'm a
woman. It's funny. My niece just turned 2, and for her birthday, someone gave her a like karaoke machine with 2 mics, and she was just sticking it right in her mouth and just screaming.
Obsessed.
That's basically podcasting.
On it. That's really.
If you're a man, that is podcasting.
That is. If you were a man, that is podcasting.
But I think that like I have looked like a woman from a very early age. So while I was also getting messaging to cover up because it was unsafe to, you know, look this way at the age that I was at, I was also getting, you know, very subliminal messaging of what it meant to look like this, and, you know, if I was safe, or if, you know, how I was being perceived. And it really, you know, affected me whether I realized it or not at that age, right? But we all get this messaging, and that again, it's across the board. Like this could apply to any area of your life.
Yeah.
But then from that messaging, our brains put together the storyline that is truly there to protect us. So if you are, you know, in Sophie's storyline, if you are the quirky, funny best friend that no one is really looking at or sexualizing in this way, and you are downplaying that, you are entering spaces out of protection
Yeah.
to kind of like keep those things at bay. And I don't want to speak for your experiences. You can speak for them. But I think we have found that storyline was actually not really actively true.
Yes.
And you were only choosing to see the parts of it that were reinforcing the storyline.
Yeah. Well, the thing, the thing that I love about any of this when we're talking about how we grow, and I think one of the things I love so much about how you approach this work and what I've gotten it is it's like how you show up anywhere is how you show up anywhere.
Yes.
And the stories we have about ourselves in any area of life is protection and keeps us safe. And for me, yeah, like we've now looked back and I've gone through and I'm like, oh, the amount of men that liked me that I ran away from or was not even paying attention. I mean, I told you about like the guy in middle school who was the cutest guy in school who was like sit next to me in every class and play footsie with me. And I was like, he just wants my notes and like must have like kink in his foot. Like it just
you're like, he has a really restless leg. He should get that checked out.
Years later, he was like, yeah, I had a crush on you. And here I am thinking no one liked me or good men. You know, I really look to every person that was unavailable, I think in part to not have to contend with my fears of intimacy, the places that I didn't want to have to risk being vulnerable and open and seen and imperfect and have to be honest or to risk losing someone. So much easier to chase the person unavailable and say, see, no one wants me.
Or the person you're not really that interested in.
Or the person you're not really that interested in.
Yeah.
And like truly run away from or be completely disconnected. Like I think energetically, I have now learned, having been doing this work for you, like being in such a different energetic space and choosing to like make eye contact with people and be willing to practice showing interest, which is something that I think.
And still honoring yourself.
Correct.
And centering yourself in that.
Correct.
You're not changing yourself.
No.
Or like bending how you show up to, you know, it's authentic to you, I feel.
Well, and exploring what does that look like to be authentic to me. But to speak to the narrative of like, no one likes me, it's like, babe, that's not true. All I have to do is look at someone.
And you know what? We're going to prove it. If you've ever had a crush on Sophie,
now's the time.
An anonymous comment on this podcast
the DMs
and tell
are
her
open.
It's a study.
I love that.
Yeah. The DMs are open. It's your opportunity.
No, but I think also that's a really good segue into like the practice of like authentically exploring like who is your authentic erotic self?
Yeah.
What does flirting look like honestly for you? What does sex like? What actually do you like? I would imagine so many people come to you being like, how do I what's the right way to flirt? Or how do I and you talk about centering yourself. Like how do you approach that in your work? What would you say to someone who's maybe like, I don't know how to do this?
Yeah. Well, I think also, you know, I work with everyone, but I think specifically with women, we've been taught from such a young age to really prioritize the experiences of others. And that really comes into pleasure. And so the way that we show up, whether that is like on a first date or during intercourse, you know, often we don't even know how to center ourselves because we're so used to centering the experience of others. Like, are they having a good time? How do I look? How am I showing up? You know, am I the image of, you know, sex and eroticism in this, you know, through their eyes. And I think that even when we start this work, when people come to me, I think that there is an element of thinking that they have to change themselves fundamentally to step into this expression, to fit into what they have seen it expressed as. So like, you know, a Sydney Sweeney.
Yeah.
And I'm like, first of all, a Sydney Sweeney is not even a Sydney Sweeney. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
And that is a manufactured narrative of an erotic person.
Yeah.
Probably not created by her, right?
Yep.
And so, and a deeply marketable one. But I think people feel like I'm going to tell them that they have to like, there's something fundamentally wrong with them that they have to change. And all of my work is about really tapping into yourself quieting all of the noise that tells you that you should be skinnier, that you should look like a Victoria's Secret model, that you should enjoy wearing red lacy underwear under every single one of your outfits. Like all of this, that you should like love giving blowjobs. You know, it's like all of this information, quieting it down and really getting to the center of like, what does it feel like in my body and in my expression of self to step into this expression? Whether that is like how we show up in the world sensually, which is not inherently sexually, how we show up as an erotic person, how we show up creatively, like all of these things. And it's an exploration. Like we get to explore these things and we get to like tap into various parts of ourselves and see how that feels and try that on. And like you and I have talked about that a lot, is like really just trying it on and seeing how it feels and making it your own. And so all of my work is, you know, I don't know what is best for you or right for you. It's about teaching you how to be comfortable with looking inward and really like finding your footing for yourself and becoming more self-guided, so that every step of the way you can be like, what does feel good for me in this moment?
Yeah.
And that can be like moment to moment.
Yeah.
You know, you could be on a date and decide, I don't want to be here anymore, actually. And that's okay. Or like, you know what? I'm catching myself going back into an old role and like, I'm going to actively switch gears and switch out of that.
Yeah. One of the things I love about the work you do is like sort of like the self-guided nature of giving yourself permission to desire what it is you desire.
Yes.
I think the script so often that I hear in my own mind, in the mind of other women, in clients I have, is like, should I want this? Like, even like, you know, now we've moved, it's great. We have so much more of an understanding of like red flags and toxic men and da-da-da-da-da. But like, we'll be like, oh, I shouldn't want to see him. So I shouldn't want to do this. I shouldn't. And yes, of course, we want to honor ourselves. But like, I have found such a gift and permission working with you around like, what if I just let myself want what I want?
Yeah.
And then I start to quickly see like, oh, if I don't block myself from wanting that thing I'm not supposed to want, to talk to that guy I know is not good for me or whatever. Yeah. Very quickly, I'm like, oh, what do I like here? There's a level of attraction that I don't feel in a lot of it. I feel a lack of attraction right now to other people. I'm not meeting a lot of men I'm really attracted to. I'm attracted to this person. So it feels fun to flirt with them. But I also go, I don't like their inability to follow through. So I actually don't want to engage further here. Yeah. Which is different than like something rooted in shaming myself for being attracted to them in the first place.
Well, and also,
does that make sense what I'm saying?
You came into session and I just told you, don't go on this date with this person. They suck. They can't show up for you or whatever. Right? Like that's not going to hit as hard as if you figure that out on your own and you feel through what it feels like in your body to have those realizations, to like see where things feel right, where things feel misaligned, what's coming up for you, and make that decision on your own. And so it's like, first of all, this is one thing we've really gotten into with sort of, I would say, like the millennial, and I see it in Gen Z dating as well, a lot of this language now, because we do have so much therapy language, and we're so aware of these things, we also have this ability to really constrict our experiences and try to mold and perfect them. Again, out of a sense of safety. So there's, you know, this idea that you should make a list. I hear this a lot. You should make a list. First of all, also have made a list once upon a time, years ago, right? Of everything that your partner is going to show up as, so that you can be hyper vigilant to when he shows up and is in the room, and you'll be able to tell who it is. But often what those lists are is how much money he makes, how does he dress, how does she show up, you know, what car does he drive, whatever. And I'm using really hetero language because we're talking about your dating experiences, but that could be across the board, right? And then we like limit our experiences almost out of a desire to soften the blow of just like living life and meeting people and having a bad date. And so we say no to all of these people because we're like, he doesn't drive a red Porsche. And I think that is just like, it's just a self-protection mechanism repackaged in like a new age spirituality box, right?
Yeah.
Of manifesting the right person. I do think there's value in making a list that is how you want to feel in the presence of someone, how you want to feel in your body,
Yep.
the values that you have in this relationship and, you know,
Yep.
that might match.
Yep.
Like, do you want to feel really settled and calm in your body on a day-to-day basis? Or do you want to feel those like adrenaline highs and that's the passion that you want to continue for years and years to come? And every person gets to decide that for themselves. But also, to your point, this idea of like shaming yourself out of this experience that we just have to explore these experiences, and every single one is data. And my only caveats to that are as long as we are not hurting ourselves or each other.
Correct.
If it is a situation of emotional or physical abuse, that is so different. But if it's just like an uncomfortable learning experience that we have to go through, every one of those experiences for myself have made me who I am today. Were they comfortable? No. Did they almost kill me?
No.
Yeah. No, they did. They almost killed me.
It felt like you were going to die.
But I'm here.
I say so often I'm like, most of healing is just doing the thing that makes you feel like you're going to die over and over again and not dying over and over and over again.
Yeah. And then just being like, wow. I'm still standing.
Well, and to your point, like we cannot spiritually bypass discomfort and painful experiences.
No.
And these stories that we, you know, like that story for me of being the best friend is like, well, if I do that, then I don't have to participate and risk any of those uncomfortable
That's exactly what it is.
Feelings.
And that's what I'm seeing right now in dating is like, we have so much information about what uncomfortable feelings look like and like what should and what we should and shouldn't be doing. And so we are really like I have so many single friends who they have like said no and written the guy off based on very little information or the person off before they've even met them, right? Because that is an act of protection where you're saying, if I assume this is going to go poorly or this isn't a match for me, like, first of all, there's a difference between like being decisive.
Yep.
But what that comes from what we're talking about is like being so clear about yourself that you can show up on a date and pretty quickly be like, not for me. Respectfully, not for me. Yeah. And I'm okay with that. But that's just further data that it's not for you.
Exactly. But you can't know what is and isn't for you if you actually haven't engaged and tried things.
Yeah.
How does that pertain? I have a few questions. One is like, where do you think self-worth comes into this conversation? Like, I think for so many women, like feeling worthy of your desires, being like, oh, that guy would never like me, or that thing isn't available for me, or, oh, I shouldn't want that. Like, where does self-worth come into?
This really perfectly steps into self-worth. And like, I've thought so much about self-worth over the last 20 years of my life.
Yeah.
And like how you find it and how you achieve it and then how you would teach it.
Yeah.
And the thing that I have really, really come to, and I'm curious to hear how you relate to this or if this resonates with you, is like, because we use the word confidence a lot, but what I think what we mean when we say confidence is self-worth.
Yeah.
Like there's like an air of confidence, which has a time and place, right? To like fake it till you make it, kind of like to step into a room and like be able to project a sense of confidence for various reasons. And then there's also like the sort of like internal dialogue with yourself that has a sense of self-worth that is rooted in a self-worth.
Yeah.
And to me, what I have found through really exploring this topic is that to have a sense of self-worth, we have to find parts of ourselves, not the whole part, right? But parts of ourselves that we are unwilling to forfeit. And so that could be anything. You could be like, I'm funny and I'm unwilling to forfeit this thing. Or I really like the way that I show up for the people in my life. And I am such a like, the backbone of my community. And I am unwilling to downplay or overlook or give up this part of myself for anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you were in a situation that's asking you to give up these things or to bargain on these things,
Mm-hmm.
you're unwilling to.
Yeah. 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 I relate so much. I think that as you were talking, I was like, how do I even fucking explain self-worth or my experience of garnering it? And
Yeah.
knowing that that's something also I guide people through. But I think
Yeah.
it's so hard to
It's so
distill
hard to
down.
distill because it feels like a moving target often.
But I do think you can't have self-worth if you don't have a sense of self. And I think that's what you're talking about too, is like,
But you don't have to have the entire sense.
Doesn't have to be the entire sense, but I act as if has never totally worked for me.
Yeah.
But what I think does work for me is like treating myself as if I value myself. Treating myself as if I believe I am precious. Like,
yes.
Right? What would I do in that situation if I just open the window a little bit to the possibility that this thing about me that you're talking about is worthy of being protected?
Again, coming back to permission. Like, we have to give ourselves permission to even think these things.
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, what does your internal self-talk sound like?
It's changed so much over time. Let's talk about it in this area specifically because I can speak about it so clearly.
Yeah.
And I think more and more I think about all this work less as like we've arrived and more like what it's like when you go to the gym. Like if we all walked into the gym and
first of all, never walked into a gym.
Or
so
not.
You tell me what it looks like in there.
Well, let's say
You tell me.
hypothetically,
paint a picture.
Paint a picture. There's some weights. There's some really annoying guys in a corner. But if I walk into a gym and expect myself to be able to lift 100 pounds, and if I can't do that, it means I'm not strong. Then why would I ever come back?
Yes.
But I go to the gym and I lift 5 pounds and I do that for a little bit and then I can lift 10 pounds and then I do that for a little, right? Like we have to do these things incrementally.
Yeah.
And that is how we build muscle.
Yes.
Maybe it's not the gym. Maybe it's a yoga class and you're like practicing getting to a headstand.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, I'm so guilty at this. Like I hate to be bad at things. And I think a part of being an adult person is really just like being willing to be bad at things.
And being willing to try and get better slowly.
And get better.
I hate it.
And be a rookie.
And to fumble and to be a rookie and to like – so my self-talk in dating used to be truly like embarrassing, very vulnerable levels of self-loathing. Like I think that I would go out with friends and see a hot guy and be like, imagine that I was like in the high school movie where everyone was laughing at me. Like at Never Been Kissed or Lainey Boggs, you thought that wasn't a dare. So I'm like, I won't even.
You're having a really big Carrie moment. Blood.
Yes, exactly.
Not Sex in the City.
100%. Yes. Like I'm going to look away because if that person sees me looking at them, they're going to be like, oh, she's looking at me. Like truly like so
Again,
sad.
out of protection, right?
Out of protection.
Your brain is saying, if I can say all of the worst things about myself first,
then I don't have to risk.
I won't go through the social shame of it all.
Exactly. And to be fair to my little kid self, I was asked out at a Halloween dance in the 6th grade on a dare. And then 3 days later found out it was a dare and he broke up with me. So
she lived it.
I did live it.
She lived it.
I did live it.
Carrie based on, when did Carrie come out?
Before me.
Right?
Yeah, it was after. But it was like, I think that is there.
Yeah.
It has changed so much.
Yeah.
I'm now like, I mean, I think I've had some like deep spiritual awakenings around this in the last bit of time. And it's been years of doing this work, years of doing it when I've gone on dates with really hot men when I was feeling the worst I've ever felt in my body. I've never felt less hot, a few years ago. And I remember walking to go meet a guy who's to this day maybe one of the hottest guys I've ever slept with and being like, Sophie, you get You get to disagree. You get to think you're not hot. It's none of your business if he thinks you're hot. He's going on the
I like
date
that
with
you
you.
were like talking yourself out of it.
Yeah.
You're
I
like,
was like,
you're allowed to disagree with him.
you're
allowed to
but
think.
you have to give him the dignity of
Yeah.
thinking you're hot. Like, you don't know what he, like, and that was how I walked in.
You're like, you know what? Maybe he's colorblind. We don't know.
We don't know. Let him be ridiculous. You know,
That's so funny. So like even that wasn't proof to you.
And then, but then little by little giving myself, again,
Yeah.
like just opening the window of possibility to then be at a point where I'm like, I actually have enough self-worth to know that these loops in my brain are a me problem and not real.
Also, he has his own
yeah
loops.
Oh, for sure. But you know, I think this year being at a place where I'm like, I can see clearly enough myself and my life to know that this is like a perception issue. And like, that's when we started working together. I mean, like, I'm worthy of changing this perception.
Mm-hmm.
And now the self-talk really looks like having, again, exercise muscles. Like, eye contact was really something that was kept being like just a very obvious like petri dish and data point to go back to. So instead of averting my eyes, what if I actively practice making eye contact everywhere?
Yeah.
And now have noticed that all that did was change energetically what other people saw I was available to. And now getting evidence that people are coming to. When I make eye contact, a lot of the times men approach me. When I make, and it's, you know, I always say it's like we have marbles in a jar of all the stories we've said over and over again.
And every time it was reinforced.
And I just have to be willing to put marbles in a different jar. And now I have
a new storyline.
Enough marbles in a new jar that I can go, oh, instead of being like, he's hot, there's no way he'd like me, I'm a little bit like, oh, he's hot. I still am working on being like, he's hot. Can I risk the I think there's still
the fear of rejection.
There's still the fear of rejection, but it's changed.
Yeah.
So
I also
much.
think it's important to note that when we are saying hot, this is like you are seeing someone that you find attractive.
My version of my version of attraction.
Yeah, because I think I asked you that pretty early on because I was like, are we only working in sort of like, you know, Banana Republic models, or is it like you are? And I say that just because I think, you know, one could feel very empty of just sort of like getting this one type of validation for like the hit of it, but that's not what you're saying. You're saying like full person, someone that you think is really hot and that like you would be interested in dating.
Energetically, like something about them. And like, exactly. Like hot, my idea of hot.
Yes.
I am attracted to them as a human. Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Which I think to the point to like go back to your work, like I think that was something we got to spend time in. And I'm curious if you want to share a little bit more about, you know, and again, it's always so funny to talk about coaching stuff because it's like some of this is the work you do with people. So I don't want to like give away all the secrets.
I love talking about this.
But I'm so curious, you know, even just this idea of like, what is hot to you? What is present?
And is that yours?
And is it yours?
Or is it a culmination of all of, again, those shoulds? Like, this is who I should be with, or this is who I should be attracted to, or this is who should validate me, right? Like, if that guy thinks I'm hot, even if I have very little interest in him, then that mirrors something in me and validates me.
Correct. Oh, that was years. I would be like,
that's what I was sort of asking by the hot thing. It's how are we saying, is it just like the idea of like, if the most socially acceptable person to acknowledge me and find me attractive finds me attractive, then I have like won in some way.
100%. I think for years it was that. I think like there was this guy like was so into in college, and he was like the bassist in a band. And I just remember being like, if I'm with the guy who's in the cool band, then it means I'm the kind of girl that dates the cool guy in the band, and it will validate. And again, this is like the self-worth sense of self is like, I didn't think I would, clearly that just means I didn't think I was cool.
Yeah.
me.
Or also there was just this idea that I could be cooler.
I could be cooler. Yeah. Like I want you to validate. I usually think it was like, and I see this in so many, like validate some particular bruise inside of myself.
I mean, look, this is what we're all doing
every day
in some way, right? But we can become aware of it, and we can, like, to our point of these storylines, and I've said this to you, I think it's like, I don't think these storylines ever go away fully. They're there's like a little kernel of them, but what we become more capable of doing is catch them as they come up.
Yep.
And being like, hey, that's not mine anymore.
Correct.
I'm not doing that. I don't prescribe to that storyline anymore. And like, this is the new storyline.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about that too that becomes so interesting is like that used to be one script. I used to also have a script that's like, I'm bad at flirting. Like I missed that class. Just by nature of exercising the muscle, I love to flirt.
Yeah. Also, you're a great talker. I feel like that's really not true. Like, to you.
Yeah.
But like, you are such a warm, personable person, and you're so curious about people, and you ask so many questions. Like, there's no way that you are like not carrying 99% of the dates that you go on.
Well, that for sure is true.
For sure. It's so funny. I remember like when I was dating, I would always be like, I would leave and my friends would be like, how was it? And I'd be like, yeah, it was really fun. Like, he's so fun. And they'd be like, no, babe, like you're
fun. Yeah.
You give good first date.
Correct. I give great first date.
I give great first date.
So
it's so fun.
It's so fun. A first date is great. I think it's like the story, it's just also, again, these stories we have about ourselves are not true. And also what we constitute as flirting is like flirting is about being open and available and curious and playful and like
curious.
It's curious.
And this is the thing. Actually, you had a guest. I don't know if she was your most recent guest. Danielle.
Yeah.
Who said that questions change her life.
Yep.
Oh, hit me hard.
Yeah.
And so good. But then you guys went on to talk about curiosity, and I was really thinking about that in terms of dating and relationships because that is a huge thing that is missing in every step of a relationship.
Same.
Is like people are not curious enough about each other. And there's this idea that like in early dating, you're not going to output that much curiosity because it might not go anywhere. It's kind of the idea of like not wanting, maybe not wanting to take someone for like a nice dinner because like, are they worth the investment of the dinner?
Yeah.
And it feels like people have gotten there with curiosity. And, there's this idea that like men aren't asking questions, which I haven't been on the dating market in a while, but like I even experienced that. I first of all, I believe it.
It's unfortunately
men
very
are
true.
Bad friends. They're not asking each other questions.
No.
They're not asking themselves questions.
No.
Love them.
God bless them.
God bless them. But like they're not. And so when she said this idea of like questions changed my life, I'm like, I wish everyone could reflect on that.
Yeah.
Every single person.
This is an area I think at one point in my life I felt no confidence or the least amount of confidence in, right? And even to talk about it publicly knowing people are going to hear was maybe at a time really is a level of confidence in me that I'm like, this is, we can talk about whatever. Yeah. But now I feel such a sense of confidence in flirting because it was less about I have to learn a skill I don't have and more about permission to show up as myself more honestly in a way than I had given myself permission to.
Yeah.
And I'm curious for you when you talk about permission, when you have clients come in, whether it's the stage we've been talking about, which is like the flirting and just initial desire, early dating, exploring kink, intimacy in relationships, having better orgasm, like whatever stage you want to talk about, this piece of like the shift from there's something I don't know how to do to like exploring and expressing a part of myself that maybe I just haven't known how to explore or express.
That's another really good point that comes back to self-worth as well, is like a huge part of self-worth is allowing yourself to be curious about yourself.
Yeah.
And when we don't have self-worth around things, it's often because there is a kernel of shame there. And when we feel shame about something, we're very, very unlikely to explore it or to look under that rock or to advocate for it, right? Because we don't want to bring attention to it. And so being willing to get curious about those things and why we feel shame around them and shedding light on them ourselves instead of, big fear someone else doing it
Yeah.
gives you that sense, like a really strong core that you can move from.
Yeah.
And I think that like at everything you just brought up, every stage is literally just about curiosity.
Yeah. Maybe it's a good time for us to talk about some of what we're scheming
some of what we're working on. Well, we came up with an idea, and this is also an invitation.
Correct.
That we are putting together an evening called working title, but I think
Working title. Wing Woman Wednesday.
And it is non-ticketed. It's a free event.
Yep.
You just gotta, get yourself there, pay for your drinks if you want to drink. We're gonna pop up at a bar. It's on July 22nd, and it's just a hang. It's just a girl hang. Come for any reason. Come if you have been wanting to make friends, if you want to push yourself to get out of the house and meet new people, if you want new girlfriends.
Yeah.
If you want to meet guys out at a bar or anyone out at a bar, and we will wing woman you, because that is one of my special gifts.
Yep.
I love to wing woman. And so we will wing woman you. Anyone else in the group can wing woman you if you make a friend and you guys really hit it off. If you've been wanting to practice flirting IRL with other people, you can flirt with us.
Yeah, we'll flirt with you. Honestly, I'll make eye contact with you. Hardcore.
We will make eye contact.
Here's what I'll say. I feel like we've been talking so much. Like there's so many women I know who are single, feel like they don't have other single women to go out with.
Agreed.
So many women we both talk to that we both coach feel like they don't feel really confident flirting out in the world.
Yeah.
So many women who are in relationship love nothing more than to wing women and have girl, feel like spiritually single. And I'm
spiritually single in the sense that I want to get invited to all of the single girl activities, even though my role truly is wing woman and mother hen. That's what I want.
And I think that like in general, we both want this and are hearing from so many women, just like a desire for fun and for play and like for girlhood.
Yeah.
And like, I believe that is also like such an important spiritual practice to like being alive. Mm-hmm. And so that is sort of rooted in like why we're doing this and what it's going to be like. So really come for any reason, but it's just going to be a good
hang. And also like truly, we are the holders of the container, but like it's, we're not going to make you do icebreakers or activities.
No, this is a zero icebreaker situation. Yeah. But if you do want to go out with some like safe people to be like, hey, I think that guy's cute. What do I do? Like there's going to be an opportunity to have like someone there to sort of.
Absolutely.
Wing woman you.
Yeah. We will wing woman you. And also we will wing woman you platonically.
Correct.
If you come and you're like, my intention for being here tonight is to make new friends.
Yeah.
We'll introduce you to some new friends.
And you'll have like great wing woman, mother hen, another fellow single woman. Let me tell you guys, I have been practicing making eye contact in bars and like it works. And I will be right alongside of you, just being like, let's go invite these men over to have a fun chat.
Also, I have proof of
proof of concept?
I just halfway through I was going to say proof of confidence.
Your face just
I have proof of concept because the last time I was at said bar with girlfriends, my friend met someone because I wing womaned her.
There you go.
So proof of concept and proof of confidence.
I like proof of confidence.
I like that too.
I think we both feel, we both have great proof of concept of our efforts.
Yes.
As of late.
And if you're like, is it going to be weird? Is it just going to be the two of them? I've already told so many people, so many women, and they're like very, very into it and want to go.
No, same. I
have people like overhear my conversation and be like, please make sure I go.
I know so many people that are already coming and like, not like.
We say that and then no one goes.
No one goes. Honestly, to be clear, if you've made it this far into the conversation, even if it was just you and us, I think
we'd have fun. Yeah, if you've made it this far into this conversation, you like us.
Yeah. We're a good We give, as we've established, we
give
both give good first date.
And this is sort of a first date.
Yeah. And then like low key, if you're a hot single man who this event is
that's
not
made it this far.
That's not this event. My dad. Hi.
Also my dad, huge fan of the work.
Love.
You know? Yeah.
Love. It's so, what a gift. Dad's
oh my goodness. My dad is so cute. He is such a supporter of the work that I do that often comes up. People are like, what do your parents think of what you do?
Yeah.
And I'm like, those two have never been prouder.
Stop.
But he tells me all the time, he's like, yeah, I like will be on the golf course and I'll like give people your Instagram and be like, go follow her. She shares really cool stuff.
I'm obsessed. That's so amazing. It's the best.
I know.
Well, maybe dads don't come, but other
not
gentlemen, not for this event. But
first of all, our dads can't come. Dads are welcome.
Yeah.
Single dads.
Single dads. A daddy.
Daddies are welcome. Zaddies are welcome.
I love I'm very available for a single dad. Just putting that out there too.
Yeah. I have a lot of girlfriends also if you did make it this far and you're a single dad in LA between the ages of 35 and 50.
50. Maybe 30 and 50. I don't know that you're a single dad at 30, but
yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. 30 and 50. I have so many girlfriends that are like, you know what? I want to be a stepmom. Do you want to be a stepmom?
I
think if I wasn't like
in a relationship,
I also would maybe.
I'm so available to what a family is going to look like, but I think I personally had a very close relationship with my stepdad and had a family that was created via like not traditional means and have so much family that feels chosen that I'm really, and like dynamics don't make me scared or uncomfortable.
Yeah, me too.
That
I like the way you put that.
I really like the idea of being a stepmom.
Yeah.
I'm like very
I love the idea of, and people are always really uncomfortable by this, but like I love the idea of being like an ex-wife, which I'm not planning on doing because I have met someone that really I want to hook my wagon to. Is that the same? But
someone you'd like to be in a relationship with.
Yeah, someone who I want to see this life through with.
Yeah.
But in past relationships, I've always really almost fantasized about being like their ex-wife and like having a very mixed, beautiful family together. Like I'm a deeply unjealous person and also like when I am done, I'm done. And so I've always thought like how beautiful would it be to just have like a huge dinner table of like, you know, all of these people and getting to play that role, you know, in a different way.
Yeah, I would love that. Like I said, I'm very excited to see. I'm in like great joyful anticipation about like how that's going to reveal itself. But all that is to say, single dads, single men, if you're listening.
Single moms.
So
welcome.
And like the single men, this event isn't for you, but if you just like happen to be at a bar and know that there's going to be some cool women there.
Yeah, like be strategic.
Yeah. It might be to your benefit.
It sounds like it's to everyone's benefit.
I think it's going to be a great night.
Because the thing is like no matter what, you're going to have fun. And they play some good music. I'm going to dance.
I'm so excited. I'm really like, I feel like delight and fun is like so important and something that like I've been really, again, like flirting with the world. Like I think energetically it's so important, especially right now.
Oh, it's so important. Also to like
excited.
model that to other people, I think.
Correct.
Because even when you said something about that you were pushing yourself to make eye contact, like even after you came back from your trip, and this was like a goal for you, it inspired me also. Obviously, I'm making eye contact in a very different way, but just like flirting with life itself and like not like almost there's an element of making eye contact that's also standing your ground.
Correct.
We're not threatening people with our eyes, but like we're not.
I think it is a claiming of your space.
It's claiming. That's what
claiming
it is.
who you and like being
you're
being
claiming,
in your body and being like I'm here and I see you.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, come hang out. It's gonna be
hang out with us. It's gonna be so fun.
Truly, it's such a gift to have like had you enter my life, and I'm really excited.
So special.
Like, it's been really special.
We're both so lucky.
We're very lucky.
I honestly I feel like I've said this to you, but like every time I meet a new client, like I genuinely am like they're so
that's how I
cool and wonderful and rad and like incredible. And I just feel so lucky that I get to like cross paths with these incredible people, and you included in that. And like, it's been so fun.
It's been such a blast.
Yeah.
And now it's really
And
cool to
seeing
get
you.
to do fun stuff together. All right, guys, as discussed, this is a two-parter. So with that concludes part 1 of what I hope you found to be an incredibly thoughtful, insightful, fun, funny, helpful episode, and really excited for you guys to listen to part 2 in a couple weeks. And in the meantime, I will be putting in the show notes all of Michaela's socials and obviously mine, and we are going to be sharing a lot more information about this event on the 22nd in Los Angeles. We hope to see you there. It's going to be a really good time. All right. Bye, guys. Hey, guys, it's Sophie. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Late to the Party. Truly getting to have these conversations and share them with you is such a gift. If something in today's episode resonated, I'd love if you followed the show, left a review, or sent it to a friend who might enjoy it too. That's genuinely how this little thing grows, and I'm so grateful you're here. New episodes drop every other Wednesday. You can find me on socials at @SoForGear, and you can follow the show at @LateToTheParty_pod. A huge thank you to the people who make this show possible. Nikki Stein, my brilliant editor, Nick Murphy, my cousin and honorary producer, branding by Lucy Anderson, also my cousin, photos by my dear friend Olivia Pierce, with creative direction by Annie Steele, who happens to be my sister-in-law. This is very much a family affair. I appreciate you being here more than you know. Until next time, you're not late, you're right on time.